Good afternoon, you guys. Just checking to see if all systems are go. Sure, that was loud. All right, here we go. We are back. It is day three of our conversation. And now remember, I gotta set that intention. Yesterday we used Crown, so I think I'm gonna return to that. It worked so well yesterday. Of course, I am back at Panera Bridge Street trying iced coffee today. It's pretty good. How you guys doing? So let me reiterate. This is a video that I am making for myself, um, but because I know that I'm on Facebook and people will find it, I am speaking to you as if I am addressing this to you, but really, I'm not. This is for me. So hopefully, we will finish this today. Um, we've done 2 hours now, and I think we've got about 30 minutes left to go, maybe. We'll see. We do these in 15-minute segments, and so I'm going to jump into thoughts and notes. This is a continuation of some of the things that were highlighted in the last conversation. Awakening. There's nothing wrong with magical thinking as long as you know you're doing it. For example, evangelical Christianity, the problem of not knowing. Mad Men, season 1, episode 8, the Hobo Code, which we've mentioned before. Don remembers his upbringing. And then I'm reflecting on that, and I say, when I was in the hospital, I had dreams of my upbringing and started getting flashbacks of my life in an attempt to find meaning in my life threatened illness. So, another note, I guess that's what men do when nothing else matters or makes sense anymore. When the road you are on runs out and you find yourself at the edge of a wilderness with not even a footpath carved through. Here's another note. Could any of those questions have come up when there was space or time in excess to solve them? Yeah, I think this is where I was when I stopped. Why do they come up now when the answers you glean have no effect on your current predicament or potential outcome? I mentioned that I don't think it works that way. Um, I think there is a time to until we shut down, which is what happened to me. Here's another note. The role of struggling and the pride I've had sharing with my family that the reason my life was hard was because it was my turn. Okay, we actually did cover this last week. Uh, I had chosen this path and the suffering came along with it. I wasn't just content, I was happy to suffer. It meant that I was doing something right, something noble, something selfless. Or was that just my imagination? After all, that's what my God had said. So there is a nobility, and I'm going to be mentioning this. This is going to be a thing that runs through the book. I think there's a way in which we can I want to say, spiritualize our lives and our experiences. I think there's a lot more choice involved than we celebrate. And so, not everything that we go through is noble, uh, but many of these situations are chosen, which is what they were for me. And there was something positive that I got for myself by claiming a nobility, but it may have been more self-serving than I thought, which is also okay. And that's kind of this whole realm of magical thinking. I think sometimes you can be wrong. You can be wrong and still be right. By that I mean to say, you could have had a vision. A butterfly could have landed on your shoulder on Tuesday, and you had prayed that such would be a sign. A sign would manifest to let you know you were on the right track. So this butterfly comes and lands on your shoulder, and you're like, oh my God, this is my sign. Well, in a situation like that, I think you could be wrong in that that butterfly may not be a spiritual entity confirming your path, but it could serve you in a way that allows you to have peace in your situation and this person's inability to park because I thought he was about to run into that Toyota. Bless it. Um, so I think that's another thing that's going to be in the book. You can be wrong and still be right. So this is going back to Mad Men. Don's mom puts a coin on the table for the stranger that she just fed. Don's dad removes the coin from the table and says, "Tomorrow, when you finish some work." We talked about this in the last video, so we're not going to repeat it. "Bless you," the stranger says. I'm going to jump. Open worlds, Skyrim. That was the last thing we talked about. So there is a podcast episode of Open Worlds called Skyrim, which is about a video game and the design for the video game that I think could be helpful for my book. And so I downloaded the transcript and the MP3. And that needs to be referenced. When you are focused on what it is you are supposed to be doing, you see the threads of your work everywhere. I'm watching Patriot Games as a celebration and a break from work, and the first quote the wife makes is, "He's a professional soldier. It's his job not to be distracted." Okay, so this is the scene. Patriot Games is one of my favorite movies, and I mentioned in the last video that I have noticed that I tend to seek out entertainment that confirms where I am in my life. And so here I am again taking a break from work, and the quote from the movie relates to the work that I'm doing on a particular day. And so I heard this thing about being a professional soldier, and it's his job not to be distracted when distraction is another theme of the book. Yesterday, I was watching a course line, and in the movie, outside on the same block where they're casting a chorus line is Glengarry Glen Ross, which is another one of my favorite movies. And I decide, A, I need to watch that movie again, and B, I need to download that screenplay. So I keep going back to why you quit the live game in college. Not sure what movie this is referencing, but I'll figure it out in a second. I think it's that you didn't like that it put the two things. Oh, I just wrote this. This comes from Billions, season 2, episode 3. Uh, Taylor, they're doing some kind of charity game. Can't remember what the game is, but Axe Axe Roberto Axelrod is having a conversation with Taylor, who he's asked to be his teammate for this tournament. And so he is challenging her with something that she said earlier as to why she didn't want to play. And he says, "I keep going back to why you quit the live game in college. I think it's that you didn't like that it put the two things that really fucking matter to you, winning and being thought of as good, in direct conflict." This, I relate to this so well. And then Taylor responds, "I didn't quit. They kicked me out and it hurt. I couldn't compete, so they eliminated me. And it filled me with disdain, almost hate." And then Axelrod responds and says, "Hate is nature's most perfect energy source. It's endlessly renewable." It's so powerful. "I don't want to lean into that feeling," Taylor responds. "You know the rider in the bicycle movie who just when he has victory in his sight takes his hands off the bars and just holds them out like this, taking in the sun, gliding, letting all the other racers whiz by him just because. Axelrod says, "No, I don't." What fucking movie is that? Taylor responds, "I always wanted to be that biker." Axelrod, "Yeah, but you're not. You and I don't get to glide. We turn. And we don't become friends with people we play cards with. But that's the sacrifice we make for being able to see what we see." Taylor responds, "I know you believe that, but I choose to take a different lesson." Axelrod, "It's not a choice. Now go back down to that table. And if, when you see Krakow, this is their opponent, you think maybe he will become a friend, then go ahead. Take your hands off the bars and let him ride by." I love this exchange so much because I think it perfectly articulates a lot of the conflicts that I've had in my life in balancing success, winning with relationships. There's a link here, foreverdreaming.org, transcripts. Not sure what this is. Oh, this is the place where I found it. Another quote from the same episode. This is Todd Krakow speaking. "Do you want to know a secret? Your boss bet me $1 million." Okay, so now she's gone back to the table. Krakow is sitting across from her. And Axelrod just issued that challenge, right? And he says, if Krakow gives you that "I would be a friend" feeling, then take your hands off the bars and let him go by. And so this is Krakow responding after she's back at the table, not knowing anything about this exchange or this issue. So he says to Taylor, I was about to say her, but she's not a her, she's a them. "Do you want to know a secret? Your boss bet me $1 million that you would outlast me. So you fuck up. It's $1 million mistake." "Good to know," Taylor responds. Back to Krakow. "How do you think he's going to feel remembering that you cost him $1 million every time he looks at you?" "I mean, no pressure. Don't let me get under your skin." Taylor responds, "You have no clue what's under my skin. And I'm certain that $1 million in either direction to Mr. Axelrod or you is entirely insignificant. And in the continuum, years of human history, this card game, and the Alpha Cup, what does it mean? By some date in the future, we'll all be gone. Every last one of us, unless we've reached the singularity. And at that point, will money matter?" Krakow says, "Yeah, I've seen Cosmos too." Here's a third and I think final quote from that episode. Oh, it's two more, I think. "What do you think? I think Taylor's ahead and has to trust it." So this is Wendy, who is hired for this event to coach Krakow, but is a founding member of Axe Cap with Axelrod. And so she's speaking with another employee about what's going on at the table. The employee asks, I can't remember his name. I can see his face, but I can't remember his name. But anyway, he asks Wendy, "What do you think?" Wendy says, "I think Taylor's ahead and has to trust it. Time. Can I talk to you for a second? Excuse me. I'm not getting a good read on it." Okay, so now Krakow has come from the table and wants to talk to Wendy about what's happening. "You have any?" Wendy interrupts him and says, "That's not your issue, really. It seems to me." Oh, Krakow responds, "It seems to me that it is. That's what stands between me and winning." Wendy responds, "No, your anger is what stands between you and winning. Your inability to depersonalize this competition. And as a result, my inability," Krakow interrupts. "I didn't pay you to come here and criticize me. I just wanted," Wendy interrupts, "you just wanted me to knock Axe off his game. And I came here anyway, knowing that because well, I guess some part of me wanted that too. And I'm going to work on that. Consider it a job well done. Now, if you'll excuse me," this is Krakow interrupting her and going back to the table. "I have to go back to the table and put the sword into Axe's little pet. Now, if you'll excuse," oh, just said that. "Hey, don't worry so much, all right? It's going to be great. We'll celebrate later tonight. Will we? Will we have something to celebrate? What? I was about to tell you that in your confusion and your opponent, you've become easy to read. So this is Wendy uh, telling Krakow that he may not be winning after all. Bullshit, he says. I've been watching that thing the entire time. So there's this whole conversation, which I don't really want to get into right now, but he's referring to Axelrod's partner Taylor as an it and a thing and a pet because she identifies as non-binary, which is again why I said a minute ago, and I just said she. It's not a she, they. Um, so he's disrespecting her over and over again, and that they're trying to emphasize that. Uh, yeah, I was about to tell you that in your confusion about your opponent, you become easy to read. Bullshit, Krakow says. I've been watching that thing the entire time. There he is again. That's why I came here. So it wouldn't see me looking. Again, he's disrespecting them. I know exactly what I'm doing. This is no place for the meat cupcake. All of it. You don't have a king you'd have raised. So now they're back at the table, and this is an exchange between Krakow and Taylor. This is no place for the meat cupcake is Krakow talking to Taylor. All of it. So he's betting. You don't have a king, Taylor realizes. You'd have raised pre-flop. And you're never moving in on a queen here in case I have the king. I think you're a gut shot. 4-5 or 5-6. I think you're trying to bully me. And a bully's devastated when you stand up to him. So what I love about this is that Taylor is actually using her life experience to articulate her strategy in this moment. And to also explain to Krakow how he is emulating in the game who he is in real life. And just as she does now in real life, she fights bullies, and so she's not taking his bluff. So later in the episode, after Taylor has the trophy and has won and successfully defeated Krakow, Taylor walks into Axelrod's office with the trophy and places it loudly on Axelrod's desk. This is yours, they say. You want it. I don't have room for it on my desk. Besides, people keep coming in, people keep coming by to drink beer out of it. Okay, but your name is on it forever. This is Axelrod responding. I know you don't want me to have attachments, things that get in the way of winning, but you do. That woman on the rail, Krakow's coach, you kept looking at her. I thought you were trying to see if she was cheating, signaling him somehow. She wasn't. I know. So this is Taylor asking about Wendy. She hasn't met Wendy yet because by the time she was hired, Wendy was gone. Later, I realized the whole thing wasn't about you beating Krakow. It was about breaking him and having her watch him go on tilt. Breaking him was the only way to beat him. This is Axelrod responding to Taylor. Was it? Taylor asked. All right. So now, here are a couple of memes. Oh, and I gotta stop. Gotta stop. We'll finish this in the next one.